This is gonna be a big deal. Here we go. Gotta use something else besides a knife. Very excited to be able to show this to y'all. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So you get an idea of what we're looking at. Yeet! Okay, that's interesting. You might think we're playing pool soon, right? This is a cue ball, right? There we go. Got the USB cable and the connector, which I don't know what kind of connection that is, but we're no longer playing pool. You got a carbon fiber sleeve, the shaft right there, and nice quality steel shaft. Let's move this stuff for now. Coup de grace. I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay, you still might be questioning what this is at this point. This is a Sim Vertex 6-speed shifter, and you can see from the build here, this is all aluminum plates, and everything else is made out of steel. The mounting base is super solid, super flat. That's what we want to see. Oh yeah. Wow. Okay, that feels amazing. Well spent. I will provide the link to this in the description. I don't know what else to say. Like this, it feels amazing. This is going to be in between the Frex and the PROSIM. And oh wow. Okay, let's take a look at how this unit operates. You can just tighten this down up against this ball or shift knob, if you will, and make sure that this doesn't undo. And then I'm just doing the same thing over here. The threading on here is, what is it, standard, what is it, 1 pitch or 1.25 pitch, I believe. We'll take this unit off so you can see how this works. It's super simple. Like everything on here is very simple. When you get the unit, you will notice that there is a liberal amount of sort of a Loctite like material that's locking all these screws on here. If you end up having to take it apart, or if you end up deciding to take it apart, that it's going to take a lot of force to undo them. The hardware is high quality. I have no issues with the hardware. It's stainless. It doesn't round off easily. Let me get a better tool. These are just standard 4mm. It's a little bit easier with an actual Allen key than it is like a multi-tool, just because of the clearance. You know, you have that. You can just keep on spinning it without, you know, removing it and spinning it, removing it. Everything on this unit is, like I said, is very serviceable by the user, as long as you're comfortable taking apart, like you know, simple things. So you can see in here there's just 2 pretty powerful springs, and that's you know, to get your neutral back and forth. And then it's just a ball joint. Like if I were to take these screws off, it would just release this ball right here and then take the pressure off these springs here. But so that's that whole unit, and then it has this little plastic nub that allows you to shift between gears smoothly without it feeling like it's, you know, grinding. And it does rotate on there too. So I don't know if it's a bearing or just a bushing, but yeah, so that's that. Super substantial. Here you can see the mechanism. That ball joint just sits in here. 3rd and 4th. This would be 5th and reverse, and then this side would be 1st and 2nd. Take it apart further. So this part, you're going to want to undo these, because for the next step you want to make sure not forget this part, because otherwise it'll make it very difficult. Like I said, all the hardware is nice and high quality. Okay, that's the panel. There's a little bit of grease on there, but And now you can kind of see how it works. These rods just go back and forth, and there's little micro switches that it just engages with. So, and like I said, that's the extent of the circuitry in there, and we'll take a closer look at that in a second here. So you want to first undo this front panel here, both top and bottom. Okay, flip the unit over. And same on the back. These are kind of nice because you can just spin them until they come off. And all the hardware is so different. There's no confusion. In terms of actually there is a little bit of confusion with this hardware. You need to make sure and use the longer of these two. So this is pretty much the only thing like that has similar hardware. And so, but you'll notice these shorter ones, they wouldn't even be able to make it anyway. So logically, you would of course use the longer ones. So just keep that in mind. So now that this front panel has been loosened, we can just slide this whole thing off, like there. And there's just steel bushings that the rods are riding on. They're like pressed in. And you can see there's a recession here for the outputs to kind of just be housed. So that's clearly the back side. Okay, so now at this point we can just start undoing all the screws. I'll do the top first, so I can show you the circuitry. There will be a lot of locking compound that they used to keep the unit together in shipping. You know, this has to be handled by a lot of different people, and a lot of different people that don't care about what's in that box, you know, when it's being shipped to you. They definitely went a little bit overkill, but once you break the bond the very first time, it's not that difficult to work with after that. The stuff just kind of falls off. So now this whole thing will just slide up, and you can see it's just a, that's it. You see how simple the circuitry is? And that's why this thing is going to last a very long time. There's no point in taking this off to show you because you can see everything already. So one of these pins is a 5-pin and one's a 4-pin. The one that comes with it is a 4-pin. I don't know what the 5-pin's for. But yeah, it's a really solid connection, and I'm glad they used that, even though it's going to be a pain in the ass to get a hold of another cable if that yeah. Anyway, that's a real thick piece of aluminum, very substantial, very well machined, and this sort of a scratch-resistant coating on here, an anti-glare coating. Okay, so now we get into the meat and potatoes here. Now you can kind of see exactly how this works. This is all just oil. I kind of oiled the rods. I just literally used some gun oil because it came to me pretty dry, and I didn't know if for the break-in process if it should be dry, because I felt like it would be gouging the metal or the steel. Because if you think about it, this is steel riding in aluminum. The outer plates have a steel bushing, but the innermost plate is just an aluminum hole that it rides through. So now we'll get it all the way down to its bare skeleton. Very user serviceable. It's not like something that's such a daunting task. You're not going to break anything when you undo it. The only thing that you need to remember is to slide this front plate off rather than trying to pry it up or something like that, because that will snap those off. Slide this off. This one is pretty much the same on both sides. It's completely symmetrical, so you don't need to remember, you know, oh, did I put it this way or did I put it this way? I don't know. You know, like, don't worry about that. So this is the heart of the unit. This is how everything works. So there's 3 pins right here, and we need to get those out right now. So you can just plop them out. Okay, now that all 3 of those are out, we are free to rotate these. And you can only rotate one at a time because there's still an internal mechanism here that prevents more than one rod from moving at once. So we'll rotate this one. And you can see there's little rubber or silicone O-rings right here to kind of cushion when you're really slamming the gears and stuff, so it's not metal on metal on both sides here. Right there and right there. These little roll pins in all of these aluminum rod interactors. I don't know what to call them. This is the part that interfaces with the shifter ball, and this part here is the part that slides back and forth on these micro switches. We only need to address one side, so we're just going to use something to punch it out. Just make sure it's something large enough to where it's not going to get stuck in there, like wedged in there. So, okay, there's the roll pin right there. It's going to pop out. There you go. Just a simple rolled piece of steel, but long lasting. So now we can just slide these off. These are machined or cast aluminum, one of the two, maybe a combination of both. And then we can slide our rubber O-rings off. Now we're going to have to undo the ball and the detent. This is just a 6mm. That's just very nice hardware again. Big and beefy. And then the ball, or the detent and the spring will come out. And at this point, we want to make sure to keep this, whatever rod you're taking out, keep this part opposite of the rod you're taking out. I don't know if that makes sense, but okay, that just slides out. Now, the reason why you want to keep it upright like this is because if you look down here or look down there, you can see there's a little ball right there. So this pin and those two balls are what makes it to where you can only engage one rod at a time. This pin actually rides in the center post or in the center rod, and when it's in its neutral position, it allows the balls to go either way. Let's pretend for a second that this rod is the center one. We would put our pin in, and then so when this is in neutral position, this pin is allowing the balls to move either way on the side here. So they'll kind of shift over, and then this pin will kind of press into itself a little bit, right? Then the pin on the opposing side will make it to where the balls on the opposite side are pushed into the other rod divot there, to make it to where it's completely locked in place, and you can't do anything but engage the rod that you're currently going up and down with. It's really hard to explain, but I think you know what I mean. So let's see if I can provide a demonstration. So pretend this is the ball on the other side. You see how that would come up there? So that goes back and forth. The rest of the steps are exactly the same. Like so, if we want to take the center rod out, we just rotate it, push that pin out. Actually, let's just do it. It's better if you have a set of punches, which I do, but I just can't find them, so I don't have them. Anyway, slide that off. And the cool thing about these sleeves is it doesn't matter. There is no particular orientation. Like if you flip this upside down, it's exactly the same. Flip it upside down, it's exactly the same. This one you can't flip upside down because it'd be backwards and it wouldn't fit. You could use it over here, but it really doesn't matter which way. So you don't have to remember oh, which way did this go? It doesn't matter. It's the same. It's mirrored. Slide our little O-ring off, and these are super spongy, kind of cool. And we just undo this again. Take our ball and our spring out. And slide her on out. There you go. So just in case you don't realize how this operates, I'll break it down a little bit. So this here is what applies downward pressure. So when this spring and this ball are sitting in this cylinder here, and the screw is tightened up against it, it's literally just forcing this ball to sit in a certain location. So when you're shifting back and forth, this spring is compressing and decompressing, keeping pressure on this ball That's how that works. Let's put this thing back together, and we'll see how it works in game.